Hey, everyone. Is your brand trying to sell your products or services to mom entrepreneurs or mompreneurs, as they're often called? If so, do you really understand what she's juggling, common struggles, the heavy load she feels, her desires, what's important to her? There's so many facets and layers here. So today we're going deep into this topic. I'm going to call this a mom behavior and insights episode, where we're going to go deep by hearing firsthand experiences from a mom entrepreneur who also runs a business that serves other mom entrepreneurs. And she's going to share what it's like to be a mom running her own business, things she's learned throughout her career, those lessons and insights that will help you better engage this audience, better connect with her, better serve her, and ultimately better reach her so you can actually sell your products and services to her. Being vulnerable and open with us today is Jacqueline Green. She is the driving force behind her company, Behind the Design, which is a company dedicated to helping interior designers, architects, and creative entrepreneurs thrive through education, training, and marketing services. As the founder, CEO, and chief strategist, she combines education, coaching, and marketing to empower these business owners to achieve their goals. Her leadership is transforming how creative professionals build successful businesses, creating a community of empowered entrepreneurs. And as a woman who is a mom, soon to be a grandma, she has gone from solopreneur to growing her business into what it is today. Jacqueline and I are sitting down and doing something a little different, where we are talking more about insights and the behaviors behind mom entrepreneurs. Welcome to Marketing with Empathy, the podcast for brands that want to target and engage moms. Moms influence or control 85% of all household purchases, making them a lucrative market to figure out, but many brands struggle to connect with moms through their content. Even if moms aren't your only audience, they're an important audience for so many brands. I'm your host, Sarah Panus, and I have more than 20 years of experience working with brands of all sizes, including Sleep Number, SheFit, American Express, Starbucks, LegalZoom, and more. So tune in here for ideas that'll get your products and services into the hands of more moms who need them, so your brand can effectively reach more moms and drive those all-important leads and sales. And thanks to your support, this podcast is in the top 5% of all podcasts and a proud member of the Marketing Podcast Network. So let's hear from today's sponsors and then jump right into my discussion with Jacqueline Green.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more to reach the professionals who are more likely to find your ad relevant. Plus, with 1 billion members on LinkedIn, that means you'll have access to 130 million decision makers and 10 million C-level executives. That's a lot of millions of the right people. Get started today and see how you can reach the right buyers with LinkedIn's enhanced targeting tools. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe.
Okay, Jacqueline, I'm excited for this conversation because it's a different angle of how we think about marketing to moms and how we can better engage them. You run a business yourself, And that business, in that you serve interior design professionals. 94% of your customers are women. Many of them are moms. And you've told me that about half of these own their own interior design firms, and a big chunk are solopreneurs, kind of juggling work and family and everything else. Plus, you've grown your own business while you are a mom to two kids yourself. So you really intimately know this juggle that moms go through on a daily basis. And that's what we're going to dig into today, how brands can better speak to all of the moms that are in our situation, and the learnings that you've had with your own business and personally. So for a brand that's listening and they're trying to sell their products or services to mom entrepreneurs, women running their own businesses, what do brands need to understand about these moms? And we can cover a lot of questions here. I think my first one maybe initially is, what are the biggest struggles that you're hearing or that you've gone through that brands should really think about when they're talking to mom entrepreneurs?
From my own experience and from other women entrepreneurs, it is a real juggle. You have this commitment with your family and you have a commitment with your job. And it's hard to balance both of them. And sometimes you go through seasons where one takes over and you have to spend more time there than you have to spend on the other, and vice versa, and understanding that. I see a lot of brands that aren't really understanding the real struggles, and I think it's because we don't really understand. We think we can do it all, and we go into thinking we can do it all. And in some regards, we can do more than what humanly should be possible by all means. But there are true struggles related to how we are doing everything. So, how we're showing up as a mom, how we're showing up as an entrepreneur, how we're growing, if we can even grow at this point in time. Because if you look at it and you look at least this was my journey from solopreneur into growing, I really had to make sure that how I grew my business, what clients I took on, had to really still fit within my realm of my other responsibilities. And that's important. And so I don't know if brands that really want to market to mompreneurs really understand the true struggle that they go through. For instance, doctor's appointments. They pop up when you don't need them or you don't want them, or your kid gets sick when you don't expect it, when you have an important meeting, when you have these things, and that's just part of life. And so you have to constantly work around that. I see a lot of moms that really struggle during the summertime when kids are off school. Understanding that there are seasons within a mompreneur's life where, okay, during the summer, she may not, if she truly wants to be home and doing the things with her kids, she's not going to take on as much work. She's not going to be able to do quite as much. Versus when they're back in school, you can ramp up and do a lot more. And what does that look like? And so I think it's important to kind of really understand. And, I laughed about it. I was thinking about this interview this morning and thinking about my husband. And he is very appreciative, love him to death, but I don't think he actually gets the magnitude of all the crap I do for the family. And I think there are a lot of moms out there who might feel the same thing. My stepdaughter is about to have twins, and I know she's feeling overwhelmed with this. This is our first kids, and she feels a little bit like she's the one doing everything right now, because right now she's the one carrying them. She's due here anytime. But I kind of had to laugh and go, honey, it's going to feel that way for the next 20 years. It's painfully true. And, if you don't understand that, if you haven't experienced that from a brand standpoint, it can be really hard to think through that and understand what those true struggles are, because especially, well, twins is a whole nother level, but especially with any children, you know, us women, we're the nurturers, we're the ones when things go wrong, we're the ones that come through for all that. And so for a brand to really go after the mompreneurs, I think it's really understanding their pain points. That's really what I'm getting at.
Definitely, I can relate to that completely as a mompreneur myself from my own business too. You said your kids can get sick at unexpected times, of course. I remember being on a whole strategy session, like a 2-day remote strategy session with a client, and I get a call from school. You see that pop up on your phone, you're like, oh no, this is not good. It's the middle of the day. And thankfully, I have awesome clients. I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to go pick my kid up. They're really sick. And you have to understand that. And there's things as businesses that we can do to help support moms, but it is a struggle 100%, and kind of that feeling of taking it all on and feeling like we need to take it all on, and there's a lot there, of course. And guilt trips. Talk more about that, because that came up when you and I were chatting before doing this interview. And that's a big struggle that a lot of moms have too. And I think why we take on so much is because we feel like this guilt that we need to. What's been your experience with that?
I originally went out on my own. I was working in corporate marketing and went out on my own to be a marketing consultant in 2011. I live in an area that is predominantly stay-at-home moms. I live in a very nice area in Colorado, and luckily a lot of people here are very blessed to be able to stay at home and raise their kids and not work. And I wasn't one of those. And so there was a real struggle for me to try to live up to the expectation of the stay-at-home mom and do all the things, be at every single game, making sure my house is perfectly cleaned, making sure that I'm providing dinner. I have a very good friend, and I still to this day love her to death. And she knows now that her kids are grown up and she went back to work, but she or her husband would judge me because they could not understand why I did not have dinner ready at 6 o'clock for my husband. They were just baffled that we didn't eat until later. I'm like, well, I'm still working at 6 o'clock. And so it was this real struggle. And, it became one of those things. The whole reason I went out on my own was so that I could be at my kids' games, so that I could be home when they got home. Because at that point, my oldest was in his freshman year of high school, and my youngest was just a little guy. I think he was in kindergarten or first grade. And teenagers are odd. We all know this. But when they're in the mood to talk, you better be in the mood to talk too, because they don't talk very often, or at least boys. I know girls may be different. I didn't have girls. But there were a lot of times where I'd be sitting in my office and my older son would come in and he might just sit there and not say a word and then get up and leave. Or he might come in and want to talk about something important to him. And I needed to be there and to listen. So it gave me that opportunity to do that. At the same time, my younger one was having some struggles as well in school. And so I needed to be there and be accessible to get to the school. But the guilt that I felt that when I was at a game or when I was with my family and taking off versus when I was not working, because if I wasn't working, I wasn't bringing in money because I was hourly, essentially. The more I worked, the more I made. But there was this huge amount of guilt that I was either failing my business or I was failing my kids. And the truth of the matter is, in looking back at that period of time, is I wasn't failing anybody. But in my head, and that guilt that I felt was so big, and looking around, a lot of the women around me who weren't working, they were being able to do those things without that guilt, just compounded on it. And so I wish I could have told myself back then, especially these lessons that I've learned since, of the house does not have to be perfect and have to be cleaned. It really doesn't. It's okay if there's dog hair in the corner. It's fine. Meals, it can be okay if we eat cereal for dinner. I wouldn't really recommend cereal for dinner, but you get my point. It doesn't have to have peanut butter jelly sandwiches. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It's just making sure that when you're in the business or when you're in the family, that you really are there. And I think that's the biggest thing I learned, is making sure that work will wait. It really will. The time I had with my kids was so precious and flew by so quickly. So now they are 28 and 19. I wish I would have ignored a little bit of that guilt and just remembered there was plenty of time to work.
How can brands actually support mom entrepreneurs then, based on all of their struggles and the guilt and things they wish they had and learnings along the way? What is some advice you'd have for other brands that are actually wanting to support mompreneurs like you have had in your business, but then also how you support the interior designers that
I mean, overall, what I think all of us want is fulfillment. A lot of times we go out on our own and start our own business because we're not being fulfilled at the company that we're working for. I did the whole corporate America thing. It just happened. My last job in corporate was, I worked for a woman who was not supportive on the whole life balance. And that was really disheartening because I actually liked the job. I liked what I was doing, but I couldn't work for couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. And it was really simple things. It was, I wanted to switch my schedule to 7 to 4 so I could go to a baseball game. And I got a big, you could do that one time a month. Well, baseball season will be over and I'll see 2 games. That's not going to work. I wasn't being fulfilled at that job from one way or another. I wasn't being trusted. I wasn't being validated. And so obviously I thought and wanted to go out on my own. What I didn't realize at the time too, when I went out on my own, is just how hard it is. It really is hard. You got to be a little crazy. I have to laugh and joke and go, okay, I'm a little crazy because I've been doing this for so long. But it was a lot of eye-opening, didn't know what was happening. Oh, wow, this is really hard. So the fulfillment is a big deal, is just feeling like we are appreciated and accepted for who we are. And I think with society, with social media, that's a really hard thing, to really feel like you're doing all the right things. And I'll give you a really good example of this too. So when I went out on my own, I was doing my consulting work, and I still would go out and get together for happy hour with my friends that were still in corporate. And early on, I felt a really disconnect, because even though I had worked with them and knew all the players they were talking about, all of a sudden at some point my life had completely changed, and what was important to me and what was important to them or going on in their life, they didn't actually blend anymore. And so they were kind of like, oh man, I wish I could go out on my own. I wish I had to take that risk and do that. Where I'm looking at them going, wow, that seems awfully stable. At 5 o'clock, you get to go home and don't have to think about this stuff. And so it was a real disconnect in me of trying to find the people that I needed to find to help me through that new part. And so what I realized is I needed to find that new group of people. And once I started finding those other entrepreneurs that were in a similar boat to me, that actually really helped me. I still loved my friends that were in corporate, but their problems and my problems and what we wanted to talk about weren't necessarily the same. And we still talked about our kids and all that. But I realized that at some point I had to go find other women like me that were meant to do that, own your own business and be an entrepreneur and live that life of all the different things that happens. And once I started doing that and was around other women that maybe were 5-10 steps ahead of me, and I'm really proud of me of trying all the things that I've tried over the years and getting out of my comfort zone. And I hope I inspired them. And I think we forget about that when we're in the moment of just trying to worry about how to pick them up from school and how to get them to this appointment or that appointment. Oh yeah, and I still need to talk to this client, and I need to book this trip to go meet this client. At the end of the day, what you're providing your kids and what they see you working at, that is an inspiration to them as they build their lives.
I want to take a quick break here and let you guys know about something that I am so excited to announce and invite you to help you figure out how to sell to more moms. I've created the Sell to More Moms free masterclass. I am doing my very first live masterclass on this topic on Thursday, April 17th. At noon Central Time. I'm dropping the link in this podcast description. It's also in the show notes where you can just click and register for free to attend this live masterclass to learn how to sell to more moms. This step-by-step live session shows brand marketers how to build a smart content plan that attracts moms, minus the guesswork that we all just hate. Hey, who likes guesswork, right? So it's a free masterclass, and I'm dishing out my 20 plus years of content marketing experience into this 1-hour session. And in this free masterclass, you're going to discover how to create a content plan that attracts moms without wasting tons of time, the secret behind the story brand framework and what moms want. I'm certified as a story brand guide, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how that framework can help you and how to think about it in the mix of what you do in your day. Why a clear content plan is the fastest way to sanity, more leads and more sales. Goodness, is it ever? And the number one mistake I see brands make when talking about their products and services. And my hope is that you're going to leave feeling clear and ready to create a smarter content plan that drives more leads and more sales from moms, along with all the other audiences that you care about. So it is Thursday, April 17th, noon Central Time, 1 hour free webinar masterclass. Register for free, clicking on the link here in the podcast description. Now let's jump back into my conversation with Jacqueline Green and continue getting her insights and advice on how brands can better reach mompreneurs. What's one of the top things brands really need to keep in mind when they're trying to speak and connect with mompreneurs?
I think it's making it simple. So I'll give you an example. So if we have a software solution and I want you to use my software and I know that this is going to benefit your business. So I want you to use my software. Now I don't sell software, but I'm just using it as a great example. And I'm selling into moms, but there's a learning curve. And so the easier you can make that learning curve to get them up on that software is 100% going to benefit you. Because if it's too hard to implement, I know a lot of companies now offer courses and help and all this stuff. But if you're not doing all the things possible and helping them get up and going, then you're going to miss out on that opportunity because they just don't have the time. It has to be simple and it has to be something that's easy for them to implement. And you have to show that to them.
100%. And that's something I consistently hear and would echo, that simplification, because of the complexity of a mom's life and everything that she's doing and is responsible for and taking on. And especially as a mom entrepreneur running her own business, she's got that whole extra layer as well. So that's a great tip. And as you've gone through those trenches, you shared earlier some of those examples where you felt like you fell short and were worried about the dinner in the house and like other things like that. But I'm curious if there's any other lessons that you've learned and just wish more moms and businesses knew.
Oh, there's so many lessons. I think that you really have to have grace on yourself. I am a very type A, very driven person. I think I can do it all, and I really pushed myself. But at the end of the day, I realized I also needed to take care of myself. And some of the things I was worried about weren't really worth worrying about. And so I look at things now and go, okay, is this something that really is going to impact us long term? Or is this just a little hiccup that we need to get past? And so when we start looking at things a little bit differently, then we can take the guilt off of us and really try to process and move forward with whatever that hiccup is. I would also encourage, even though, again, love my husband to death, but there are some things that we could do better job of expectations from our partners. And I think that not asking for help is one of the biggest things. I didn't ask for help. I thought I had to do it all. And that wasn't right. Once I started asking for help and said, hey, can you maybe be responsible for dinner a couple days a week? Or do you mind running the vacuum? When I started doing those things, it actually helped us as far as kind of sharing some of those duties. But for so long, and especially the generation I came from, is I just thought all that was supposed to be on me. So I never asked for help. And I think that it's really important to ask for help, whether that be from a partner, whether it be from a family, friends, whether it even be from work colleagues or people that you work with. It's really important to ask for help.
Yeah, 100%. And I think moms of all ages will relate to that. I know I'm in my 40s. I definitely relate to that as well. Because sometimes it's frustrating because I think moms have this amazing ability to look at a lot of things around them and just know what needs to be done, especially in the home, right? And we assume everybody else should see those things too. And so then you get frustrated with why isn't anybody offering to help? And I've just learned, especially with my 13-year-old son, as a great example, or as I need to explicitly ask because he has no idea. He's not like seeing that puzzle that needs to be, think those pieces that need to be put together. And same thing with my husband. And there is that level of guilt sometimes too of feeling like, a failure if we can't do it all. And so I think that's a big reason why a lot of moms don't ask is they feel like, well, I'm supposed to be able to do this. So I completely relate to that and would echo that that's a huge opportunity for brands. You guys listening, there are so many insights here into mom mindset that we're sharing and unpacking that as you're listening, think about the products or services that you offer to your customers. Think about the mom audiences that you're trying to reach and think about how you can reduce those pain points, how you can serve her with great content that will help her and great products and services and make it simple as Jacqueline was sharing. This is all awesome. These are great mom mindset insights, Jacqueline, for sure. So as we near wrapping up, is there any final advice that you would have for brands that are trying to reach more moms and or specifically more mom entrepreneurs?
I would probably say to avoid stereotypes. I love the cleaning commercials where the woman is always smiling and happy. Like, nobody's happy cleaning. I'm sorry. No, they're not. Now, you can't show them being unhappy, but you could show that it was sparkling. But I think that some brands try to paint a picture that just doesn't exist. And I think that painting that picture, and I don't know if that's really stereotypes or just painting an unrealistic picture puts more pressure on us than really needs to be put on us. So I would be really cautious to say that you want, to put expectations out there or paint a picture that just really isn't reality.
Yeah. I just wrote down in my notes, embrace realism because it's so true with moms. And it's why you see certain brand, like I think Dove does a great example of this. They've embraced so much realism and just embracing how women are. And you see so many more companies that are sharing and not photoshopping things as much. There's the realism in that, or you see there's certain personalities and influencers that women will trust more because they're just so real and everything's not all perfect in fairy tale land, right? And as moms, I think we especially have a no BS filter where we really can understand like certain things or we know if it makes us feel icky. So that's interesting where you're talking about avoiding those stereotypes where it's like, oh, it feels icky or it just makes you feel worse about yourself because you're like, holy crap, now there's one more thing I have to do and there's no way I can live to that expectation that somebody else has of me. So as brands, I think if you embrace that realism, that'll go a long way at building trust and just relatability with moms.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Dove does a great job of showing all different women and all different people. Some of us are fatter, some of us are skinny, some of us are tall, some of us are short. It cracks me up. It's the funniest thing when I see promotions or pictures that are plus size clothes, but the models are skinny. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? That makes no sense. And so I think that realism, authenticity is huge right now. So brands really do need to be authentic. And I talk a lot about branding and what your internal brand is versus your outer external brand. It's just as important to your employees as it is to your audience. And so when we talk about that, the moms that work within your company are also huge within a brand. And so how we support our employees versus how do we support our customers, they're both equally important for success.
Okay, to switch gears a little bit, tell us about your own business that you run. What do you do specifically for those interior design professionals?
Sure, we help interior design professionals. That's how we started, and the company's called Behind the Design. And we started with offering education to help. What I saw a need of when I was actually teaching interior design was I couldn't teach them everything that I wanted to teach them, nor could they absorb everything I wanted to teach them. And I realized there's an opportunity here that we weren't teaching, and this is not just interior designers. This is doctors, lawyers, anybody that does a service space. We tell you how to do the job and teach you how to do the job in school, but we don't necessarily teach you how to run a business unless you're taking a true entrepreneurial business degree. We didn't bother telling you how you charge people or how you do this or how you do that. And so I really built this company out of education and sharing a lot of the knowledge I had learned along the way and giving that opportunity. From there, we kind of evolved where we started offering some marketing services. And then here recently, we've added on AI consulting, how we can add AI into our businesses. And there's a huge opportunity for small businesses to be able to use AI to help with productivity and adding efficiencies and doing more with less. We've gone from helping interior designers to architects, design, build, construction. We've expanded as we went along. It's evolved through it. And it truly started taking off in a different direction once my kids were a certain age where I could focus more on that. And I realize now that there was plenty of time to get to where I wanted to go. I just wish a little bit that I didn't put so much pressure on myself early on.
Thank you. I kind of needed to hear that today because I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself. I'm 5 years into my business. I'm an earlier version of like where you were, right? So this is wonderful. I'm learning from you as you're talking too. I love it. Is there anything else I should ask you about that we haven't talked about yet?
The other thing I would say is follow your gut. If you get a gut feeling that your kid needs you right now, go be with them. If you get a gut feeling that you need to take a different risk, try it. It's okay. I think life is full of opportunities and seasons, and it's okay to try different things, but always follow your gut.
Beautiful. Okay, as we close, share all the best places that people can connect with you.
The best way to get to me is through our website is behindthedesignco.com. And it's actually my handle, I think, on almost all the platforms as well.
And that's a wrap. How incredibly insightful was that? As a mom myself, I just felt so deeply the things that Jacqueline was sharing. I can completely relate. I know from my mom marketing branding experiences, so many other moms relate. This is a great episode going really deep into firsthand experiences of what it's like to be a mom running her own business, that mompreneur angle. And so let's put this in that mom insights and behavior bucket so that as a brand and you're listening right now, look for those opportunities of how you can alleviate pain points, how you can provide simplicity and convenience and all the things that she's looking for to better connect with her. So grateful to Jacqueline for being open and sharing her experiences with us to get those insights. Until next week, God bless.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Hennika Watkins-Porter hosts The Entrepreneurial You, empowering entrepreneurs with insights on leadership, business, and success. Hennika, tell listeners what to expect from your show.
So we provide innovative business strategies and practical solutions to common entrepreneurial challenges.
And where can people subscribe?
Find us at hennikawatkisporter.com, as well as the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net, or search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard her. Go subscribe.